welcome to the Just podcast with Tim Buxton, proudly recorded on Yugambeh country, the land of the Camaraderie saltwater people of the Gold Coast, Australia. Through courageous conversations with leaders and pioneers across diverse fields, we'll unpack the important, often complex topics that are shaping our world today and explore what it takes to create lasting, positive change in our communities. Each episode you'll be inspired by entrepreneurs, educators, artists, humanitarians, and unsung everyday heroes doing the extraordinary work it takes to build a just world. A world filled with hope, belonging, and boundless possibilities. So, without further ado, let's dive into another courageous conversation, inspiring change. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Just podcast. And we're part of a very special series called the Iraq 100 series of episodes where we delve into my upcoming run, 100 miler in northern Iraq, raising funds for You Belong, and part of our annual Move to Belong campaign that invites people all around the world to design their own movement challenge and move for those displaced around the world. And today's episode, you get to meet the amazing crew that will be joining me in Iraq, a team of storytellers, of runners, athletes, and all-round amazing people. We've got Kitali Wilson, who is an award-winning filmmaker. He'll be overseeing the directing of the Iraq 100 documentary that we're going to be producing whilst we're over there, following me as I retrace the journey many refugees fled from ISIS-held territory in the city of Mosul all the way to the Iranian border in the town of Saran where we used to live. Now, Kitali has just recently returned from New York and from his adventures in the Arctic region, part of his Project Zero adventures with his father, Jeff Wilson. Kitali, as a filmmaker, has just recently scooped up a few awards at the Brooklyn Film Festival. So excited to have him on board. You'll get to meet Matt Willingham, who also is an award-winning photojournalist. He spent years on the front lines in Iraq and around the world capturing stories of courage and conflict. There really is nobody who takes compelling photos and writes the most amazing, pens the most amazing words and stories. There's no one quite like Matt Willingham. We've also got Ihsan Ibrahim, who is also a very good friend of Matt, colleagues, and worked alongside him for many years in Iraq. He lives in Iraq. He is an Iraqi, lives in the northern region, Kurdish region of Iraq called Kurdistan, and he's going to be bringing his media crew, his expertise on the grounds. He's got commercial film experience. He's going to be helping us provide all the gear and production support for our epic adventure. We've got Mario Buchs, none other than Mario Buchs, the elite endurance running coach who's completed over 20 ultra marathons. He's my running coach. He's the one of me guiding me, coaching me as I go along. We've got Troy Jones. He is a international student from the US, now living here in Australia, studying marketing at Bond University. He's going to be helping us on the ground, helping run a few kilometers with me because he is quite an athlete himself, an all-American college lacrosse athlete, and an all-around super guy. And Charles Buxton, my son, he's 12-year-old. He's spent obviously a few years living in Iraq as a little kid, and he's going to be coming back with me, although he's not on this podcast. That rounds out our team that are going to be over there, and I cannot wait for you to meet them and hear their passion for this project through this podcast. I'm so excited for this team, this crew that's coming together to make this possible. And so I'll leave this incredible conversation that we had together, meeting each other for the first time, as we prepare for the Iraq 100. Well, hey everyone, we've got everyone into one room, though it's not technically a physical room, but this is our first gathering of the Iraq 100 crew from all corners of this globe. And wow, we're all getting to see each other for the first time. So as we kind of like just meet, let's kind of introduce yourself. Um, I'm gonna go straight to you, Matt, since it's bright and early for you in San Diego.
Yeah, I'm Matt, and originally met Tim living in northern Iraq years ago. And when I heard he's planning to go back, I got really, really excited. After we moved back and got back to the US, which is where we live now in Southern California, I have missed the Middle East de dearly. Miss our brother Ihsan down the line as well, and so many other friends. And so just really, really excited about the chance to go back and to be involved in this with you guys.
Oh man, so excited! Thanks, Matt.
And my
Uh,
role is helping however people want and trying to get the word out and documenting however people want as best I can.
Matt, the master storyteller, the one who ties a lot of things together from me to Asan, and obviously spent more than 8 years living there as well. So glad to have you on the crew. Troy is back. We may as well go to
Yeah.
him before he decides to just leave again.
Yeah, sorry
Um,
guys. I'm experiencing some
yep.
technical difficulties. We've been out of Wi-Fi for a few days, so run on the hotspot right now, so I'll try to get it out real quick. But if I phase out, I'll be back. But yeah, my name's Troy. I'm from the United States. I grew up in North Carolina, did a handful of years on the West Coast in Southern California, and now I am in the Gold Coast, on the Gold Coast, right down the street from Tim, and I'm getting my MBA out here.
Yeah, you are.
And yeah, fortunately pushing through that right now. So yeah, so why I'm doing this? So honestly, it kind of fell in my lap. Tim is a guy that I just met like third day out here, and has kind of turned into like a mentor for me, and hang out with him and his family quite a bit. And so just starting to learn about You Belong and talking to him, and then once he started bringing up the run, it kind of just felt right to give a helping hand where I could. And that's where I'm kind of helping out on the partnership side of things, trying to get some sponsorships lined up, and get some people to hear about what's going on, and help out in any way they can. And so also a motivator for Tim and anyone else out there. I'm just going to be there to lift morale and try to keep a smile going.
Man, everybody needs a Troy on their team. Let me just tell you that. You're also All-American college lacrosse athlete when you were back in your college days in the US. And yeah, I remember your mom telling me how you're the guy that was like always standing up on the team, a bit of an enforcer. Yeah, a bit of. I think you were awarded with the guy with the most penalties. So if we get into trouble, I know we've got somebody who will stick up for us. But yeah, so stoked to have you on the team. Oh man, we are too. Kitali.
Hello. My name is Kitali Wilson. I work predominantly as a filmmaker and a writer. I first met Tim, I think I was 19 when I first met you. Tim's been in my life for the last 5 years, and he's been a really, really formative mentor for me in both the way I want to approach the world and see the world. And I had some phenomenal experiences to travel to far corners of the world, with Tim and meet people like that and other storytellers. Tim introduced me to this project, and it kind of you know, is the intersection that I normally operate in, where storytelling is kind of meeting maybe adventure sports. And yeah, I'm really just here to support him in any way that I can, and try and figure out what is this story and how can we have that story be powerful and resonant, and really create some change. And I'm super excited to work with each and every one of you guys.
Fresh off your own adventure in
Yes.
the Arctic regions of the world, trying to run away from polar bears, tracking your scent
Yeah.
to your own traverse 300 kilometers across, what did you call it, the archipelago? Yeah, so a man who's done many adventures himself, and from a lineage of adventurers, shall we
Yeah.
say. Excited to delve into that a bit more, and I'm going to head on to Mario, the guy who I dreamed up this crazy thought that I could run across Iraq with, and because that's kind of what you do, is you run crazy distances for fun. Mario, why don't you introduce yourself, mate?
So yeah, my name's Mario. I originally Swiss, South African. I'm also Australian now, so I live here in Sydney. Moved here a few years ago. Love it. Great vibe. I met Tim last year at a speakers boot camp. I just wanted, but I'm currently coaching Tim. So I would class myself as an ultra marathon runner. I don't win things, but I finish stuff. I quite convinced we'll get Tim over the line in one way, shape, or form. So I know how to hurt. Now we need to find out if Tim can hurt and get through it. But I am 100% convinced we'll get him there. He's doing really well. He's actually ahead already according to my schedule. He's in better nick already. So we'll just get him very healthy to the start line, and whoever wants to join in, hopefully we've got a few people from a global level that will join in and run with us. So I've never been to Iraq. I've been a service engineer for nearly 20 years. I've traveled the world. I've been to Syria. I've been to North Africa. Spent about 1.5 years in Turkey. So, I've traveled all my life, really, and I'm still traveling now, although it's getting less and less fun. For work, it's less fun. If you do it privately, it's a different story. So, yeah, I think when Tim, and I don't want to go on too long, but I just want to quickly say when Tim mentioned this, for me, it was like a no-brainer, you know. We spoke about it when we met, and I was kind of wow. And when he did his speech at the end of the 3 days, it was obviously about Iraq and the story he told. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't think that we're going to go and run there now, but it makes a lot of sense. I think it's I mean, people who know me don't think that I will do something like this, not the running part, but kind of having that human side. Even people who listen to our podcast that we've started together think, you guys are not alike, are you? I said, no, but that's what makes it work, you know, yin and yang. That's what it is, you know, because a close friend of mine said, that Tim is such a nice guy. I said, yeah, not like me, right? He says, yeah, exactly. You know, that's why.
Shut up.
And that's
I
why
know
we
that's not
click, you
true.
know, that's why we click. No, look, humans first, and just to do these 162 kilometers, what refugees had to do. I mean, for me, that's just more, I can't put it in words. It's just, I want to come to your place, Ihsan, and show me around, and we'll do this thing, yeah? And if we film it and show the world what can be done, who knows how big this is going to be in the end, right? Or what's
Absolutely.
next, right? So
what a good segue to Ihsan. I was watching a bit of your work on your website today, mate, and did see that Malak little clip. Tell us a bit about where you are right now and how you're part of and such a central, important part of this project.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Ihsan. Grew up in the south of Iraq, but I moved to the Kurdistan region of, in the north of Iraq. That was many years ago. But I heard about the project from my brother Matt. He reached out and told me about it. I was super excited for two reasons. I mean, of course, that mean that Matt, hopefully we will see you here, and also everyone as well. Of course, this project will have a meaning for the people here who have experienced this situation when they have to move and, fled or leave their homes, and what the things that they have to experience in the road. So that's something that I'm really excited that how we can capture it and how we can have lights on for the people to see and understand about the impact of conflicts or wars that force people to leave, and things that are still going around us. It didn't stop, it didn't end, it's just moved into different places. So I'm excited to be part of this team, excited to have you all here, and I'm hoping that I will be as helpful as I can. My main role would be capturing all of these moments and helping with filmmaking, video production. Hopefully we can have this in a way that we can show it to others, like through VR as well, so people have this more kind of a personal experience, a close experience to what this can or what this was. So yeah, thank you so much, and we hope that things will be resolved, in the near future for the region and everything that is happening, so we can have you all here together.
Wow, Ihsan, you have done this for a long time, capturing things on the front lines, and have done it with such a sense of humanity and dignity for those. And right now, I think we need to stick with you, just Ihsan, just for a moment, because this project, this idea of running the distance that many refugees did flee during that wave of ISIS invasion when they came and really swept through Iraq quite rapidly, by taking that journey from Mosul to the Iranian border, ironically, which is the mountains where many were sought a sense of safety, is only more right now feels so important given what's happening in the Middle East again right now. I mean, potential World War III feels like it's about to erupt. And you were just saying as we got on this call that the feeling is very tense right now on the ground. Can you just help us as a team as we prepare to go to this place? What is it going to feel like? Because in some ways, I remember landing in Iraq feeling, wow, this feels like a really safe place. That these people, you thought it would be a war-torn place, and obviously, in certain moments and times, there can be tension. In general, these people are so resilient and incredible. But what does it feel like right now? What's happening? Help us prepare for Matt and I. We've been there and lived there, but the others, this will be their first time coming into the region.
Of course, yeah. The feeling is that what if this war extended into Iraq? What this mean? Who will be impacted the most? Which city this will be? Do we have to also flee again, or does some people like here in Iraq have to flee again and have to kind of seek refuge into different places, and so they can feel safe for them and their families? How this will impact economy as well. So all of these kind of ideas and that come to people's minds about the future or the near future or just the next day, impacting everything that they do in their lives. So you can see there is some kind of I think, I don't know the exact word for it in English, but people don't kind of go and buy things like they usually do. Also, you see the stores or the streets are not as crowded as usual because people are afraid. So the people are thinking more about how they can make best decisions right now with the situation that they have. So it's still relatively safe. So there is no conflict, there is no violence, nothing happened, as I mentioned before. And the only thing is that what if this escalation, what if this war have to extend into Iraq, since we are just in the middle of everything? We see sometimes, maybe not in Erbil where I live, but people in the south who like close to the borders of Iran or in the cities that in that area, they see the rockets that coming from Iran going to, or the missiles
Wow.
going to Israel. And in the same time, people who are in these areas or even generally in Iraq are afraid, like, what if the nuclear sites were bombed and then we have like the all the things that coming from these sites, like the
Nuclear
radiation,
reactors, yeah.
coming to Iraq and affecting Iraq. And we have experience with that before. And I think Matt and I worked before on this about the depleted uranium that was used in the wars before and how it impacted families and people for generations, not just for their time when the war happened. No, for generations. They have like babies with birth defects for many generations because of the use of, uranium. And so if that happen again, so we have another kind of situation that we have to deal with in generations, not just Iran, not just where these areas or where these sites are, but in the whole region, and especially like in areas in a place like Iraq, which share a lot of borders with Iran, like the place that we are running, making this
Yeah.
project, or like running into. So that's, I think, some of the concerns or the fear that people have and talk about. It's been just a week, I think, since all of this started, but people feel like if this have to kind of grow and become out of control, then how this will impact everything.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing what it's like and what's going through your mind and people on the ground there. Such helpful context. Matt, I'm going to fling to you quickly. I feel, for those of us that will be there and you having to make your own, learn through your own experience of living there and of how do I interpret all that has gone on in this region. And from my perspective, you'll probably be coaching Kitali, Mario, Troy at times through this is why, this is why this is going on right now. I remember experiencing the same experiences you've got right now. Like, what's going on right now? Even the idea of drawing attention to the consequences of war, conflict, and displacement that has on humanity and on those that are innocent. Talk us through, what it's going to be like for us over there. Do you think?
And yeah, I feel like I'm torn because on the one hand, I don't want to overly define. I haven't lived there in a long time, so I have to go in acknowledging that a lot's changed. Like when you were working on your camera earlier and we were getting set up a little bit, I asked Ihsan a question and he was like, "Oh no, a lot of that's happened since then." And I was like, "Oh, see, because like I just don't know." So I'm sure there will be things that are familiar, and I'm really excited to like taste that food that I've missed and see those people and hug those necks and all that. But also, there's so much that's going to be different. So I feel like we have to figure out how to have both at the same time, going in with our expectations and our ideas, but also going in open and flexible and ready to just let Iraq do what it does and just flow. But to get to kind of what you asked about at the very end, I mean, we know what's happening. Like these kinds of situations between nations, I mean, seeds of hatred are being planted that future generations will reap. And what does it take to actually challenge those kinds of things? I mean, it's what Kitali was saying earlier, storytelling. Ihsan's been involved in that his whole career, Kitali as well. I'm passionate about it. That's why we do it, because we're hoping that we're uprooting these seeds of hatred that are being planted in cultures and communities all over the world through conflict. Because there are always those people on the other side of that who are the helpers, looking to uproot that, to challenge that, to add nuance. So it's frustrating because it feels like so little in some ways. We can't literally be like in between people shooting at each other, but I do think there are ways to continually challenge narratives and reshape narratives. And that's a beautiful work to be a part of. And I think this run and this effort it's a fantastic time to be doing this. I don't think because there's this conflict happening, oh, this is a terrible time to be planning this because our tickets could be lost or our money could be lost. No, I think this is the exact time to be doing something like this. And I think that we're seeing it regionally and that's why I jumped in. And as soon as you texted me, I was like, yes, I need to be a part of something like this because I need to feel some measure of hope about what's happening and some capacity for communicating differently, living differently. So I feel like that was a bit of a monologue.
No, you perfectly articulated. I think that's what the refugee waymakers do. In the face of hatred and violence, they seem to find a way. Like it's that hope that's leading them on, and that to be courageous, to push forward for their children, for their community. And that picture of the guy in Tiananmen Square that just stands in the middle and confronts all military might with like, no, if you want to keep doing this barrage and assault, you got to run over me first. I was thinking of that as you were sharing, and I think there's such a depth. I know that comes from you and your own personal history with Iraq, and in some ways an opportunity to reconnect with that, Matt. And you're going to be such a wonderful strength to this team, and I know to me as well, in that your ability to really feel and capture the heart of the situation. I'm going to fling to Kitali here, since we're going from We've got this is more the film making, storytelling side of things.
Yeah, I can't remember the question you asked, but I did want to follow up on what Matt was saying, because I think it's really, really powerful, and it's one of probably the grounding, just as my work, is this idea of storytelling, and storytelling as an active, consciousness, and that as an active activism. I think to be conscious of what's going on in the world is a really, really powerful thing. And I think in an era of so much content, really, I think it's about creating dialogue between both sides, and I think that's the role of the storyteller. I'm particularly interested in this story, and I think it aligns with other work I'm doing around the world. I think so often when it comes to geopolitical escalation and the war drums start beating, those parties really want to try and reduce a country, a culture, a people, a race to just a geopolitical chess piece. So I think, telling the stories of people on the ground and humanizing something that seems, big and macro into, a micro experience. I think it's very, very hard for someone to hate someone when they've seen a story about them and they feel like they're connected with them. But if you don't provide people those opportunities to, enter into Erbil and see people eating dinner and, go through Mosul and see people rebuilding their homes and stuff, it's so easy for someone, in Midwest America to feel very at ease with what's going on. But I think it's the role of the storyteller, specifically geopolitically, to humanize the world and to show us that every decision that's occurring, these places that might feel very far off, actually impact people on the ground. Yeah, I think that's why I'm so inspired by what you belong's doing, so inspired just being in this chat, with Ihsan and Matt and all of you, that we be willing to do that, because it's a bold step, it takes bravery, it takes time and dedication, and I think it takes a curiosity to look past boundaries and perhaps accept that our world is very unknown and there's a lot that we can step in and explore.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of narratives that are hitting the news right now about who
So
Iranians are. It's not a narratives about who, what war is all about to justify. How do you justify blowing apart and destroying another people, another culture? And we have to take people and not just craft our own narrative, but get there as close as we can and let the people speak for themselves and let this place speak for itself. And for me, running, which isn't, I guess, something I would have envisioned myself doing, didn't seem to be a great platform or format or backdrop, you could say, to use to tell that story. But the more Mario has been, as you self-described yourself as the guy to find out how much pain I could endure, as I've embarked on this journey of running for a long period of time and not stopping, and going to places of pain, going to places of mental, what am I doing? This is stupid. Just stop, just give up. And for someone who's done that 20 odd times in terms of running an ultra, probably, over 100 kilometers or more. What do you think when it comes to the endurance that it takes and the importance of, you think, Mario, of running and pairing that with such an important point in time of history? Can you talk maybe, Mario, about what running has taught you and what you think? We've coined the term, we're going to run for those or move for those. We're going to choose to move for those forced to move. What is it about running, Mario, that you think is going to take people there on this journey with us?
Yeah, we all know we've always had to run as humans, Homo sapiens, either run away from something or run after something. So the human is the only animal on Earth that can run longer distances, Animals can't. Animals are a bit quicker, We won't be able to outrun a lion or a cheetah. But after about 400 meters, we can carry on. And, looking back at history, that's how we hunted down animals. We tired them out, rather than shooting them, because in the beginning we didn't have anything. They didn't have a spear right in the beginning from the get-go. But I mean, running over the last few hundred years, ultramarathon running has actually been a sport longer than normal running. Not many people know this, So in the 17th, 18th, 19th century, they had these race walking events where they filled stadiums in the US, for instance, Madison Square Gardens, years, like we're talking 100, 120, 130 years ago, whatever, were full with people, tens of thousands of people, all smoking and drinking and watching and betting on people who run around a track for 24, 48 hours. So that goes back many, and that used to be huge, and then it died off a little bit, and the Olympics came and things like that. But I think you've hit the nail on the head already there, Tim. We're doing something that other people are forced to do, but running in general gives us so much, I mean, we get up in the morning, get our run done. I mean, for me personally, it's been a huge journey, a life-changing journey. Like running becomes a lifestyle, because if we want to do it well and we want to be healthy and fit, we change a lot of things. Our sleep suddenly gets important, and recovery, and we look after our health and our nutrition and things like that. So it can teach us a lot. I mean, I take a lot of what I learn in an ultra marathon, what I go through to back to work, and vice versa. I mean, ultra marathon running is problem solving, right? There's no such thing as the perfect race. No one's ever had the perfect race. A lot of people have a good race or a great race, but the perfect race doesn't exist. So we'll come across all sorts of stuff. We need to control what we can, and but running is such a natural thing. If you watch kids, and I watch the videos that Tim shared with me from Iraq, I've not seen happier kids ever in my whole life. I mean, those smiles on the faces, they're just like, yeah, I don't need to be shown anything else to be excited and motivated to show these kids and take them for a run. If we're lucky, we might have 100 of these kids, or have a school class running with us for a kilometer or two. That would make me the happiest guy there, So running is freedom, and we're doing it easy, huh? We've got the easy part. We know where we're going to sleep every night. We're going to get fed. If you have to flee from somewhere, like Ihsan mentioned earlier on, I can't imagine, right? Where we're heading, where we're going, where we're walking to. You've got kids, you've got old people, the elderly, where we're going, we don't know. Where we're going to get our next meal from. We don't have that problem. So we can give like a little piece back. I mean, a lot of people run long distances for charity. Nobody has a clue where that money goes to. I'm very honest about this. Here, we're going to show physically where this money goes to. We will meet the people who will get help from whoever is helping us, sponsoring or whatever it is. And that's what I believe in.
So well said, Mario. This is, I don't know if anyone knows this, but this is Refugee Week in Australia and the US. I think in the UK, it's literally, in fact, tomorrow, June 20th, is United Nations World Refugee Day. That's tomorrow. And I was just in a school with my wife, Sarah, talking a bit about this journey and Move to Belong and our time in Iraq. And we were looking at some of the statistics with the students that today there's now over 127 million displaced people in the world. I did a video about this a couple of years ago, and it was 80 million, and it's already another, 47, close to 50 million in just a couple of years. I mean, it is, with what's happened in Russia and Ukraine, the constant ongoing conflict all throughout the world that we rarely ever makes the news, that is exacerbating. It is more important than ever that we draw attention to those that are displaced, those that are forced to flee. And like you said, Mari, they're on an endurance run, and they are showing us what absolute courage and endurance and the human spirit and perseverance is all about, that even an ultra run, like you said, doesn't even come close to it. And it's important for us to shift our hearts and minds and focus, and not to just know these things as statistics anymore, but to know them as people, as families. And we're really excited not only to introduce people to those there in Iraq that have endured so much, but to also share the hopeful stories here in Australia, where we're working with You Belong, with families that have are still on that waymaker's journey, but they're trying to find a new place to settle, to call home, not just a new residency, but a place where they really feel like this is now where I can belong and root my family and build a future for my kids and my kids' kids. And Matt, you're seeing it in the work you're a part of in the US, in places like San Diego, and it's such an important mission for us. And as we're even like, we're all getting to know each other ourselves, like who am I going to be in this place with, in Iraq with? And I don't know how you feel about now after meeting each other collectively. And I don't know, I just feel so inspired by each one of you. You're the most wonderful people to be around. And I think that's the other thing, that it's like, this isn't me running across Iraq 100 miles. This is a team. This is what any journey and adventure takes. It takes a team of people with different perspectives, with different backgrounds, with different skills, abilities. And I feel more excited than ever about this front. And part of me, like Mario, Matt, I think you said it, like there's things that are happening that think, well, maybe they're not going to want to be part of this. Maybe this isn't the right time. And the fact that you said, no, this is even more an important a time. I mean, I know I've got the right people in the room that don't flinch, that actually when it gets a little crazier, they're like, nope, let's keep pushing in. How does everyone feel? Any thoughts or words before we kind of let everyone get back to what they've got on for the day?
I was just going to jump in and kind of follow that up with, I think with any good story, there's always that question of like, why us, why now? And I think,
why us, why now? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's something to keep, that this conversation is really, really grounded. And it seems like we've got a phenomenal team here, so much connection to both cause, but also Iraq as a place. But it just seems like this story is just growing in saliency these last few weeks and stuff. And obviously, as Ihsan mentioned, we don't really know what that looks like. We don't know what the next month's going to look like. We're hoping for peace, but regardless, I really feel like the story is just going to grow in power and what we can follow with it. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, anyone else got some closing words? Why us, why now from Kitali? That's going to be resonating with me as I head off to bed soon. Troy, Mario, Matt, Ihsan, any final thoughts or words about this mission?
I thought what Matt was thinking over the weekend. The first 7 seconds I thought, maybe not a good time. And then I flipped it on its head. I said, hell yeah, exactly, now. If you want to be in the spotlight in a good way, we don't want to be in the spotlight. The mission, the odyssey, the adventure has to be in the spotlight. The reason why we're doing this. Now's the time. I'm moving forward harder now, saying, okay, now we need people to get on board, the right people, of course. And and it takes a village. I like what you say, 6 people in a team takes a village to do something like this, That's why we call it the crew, right?
Absolutely. It takes a village. Why us, why now? It takes a village, man. We're building something. Troy, Ihsan, Matt, final thoughts?
Yeah, I know I've been popping in and out on the live call, but it's just even sitting back and listening, it's every day I feel like I'm calling Tim, just chatting about stuff with all this going on. I'm just like fired up. It's just the more we talk about it, and I didn't know a ton about it coming in and everything, but it really is just inspiring, and it makes you even more passionate about it when you don't know a ton. You're just craving to learn more about it. And like you said, the crew is great. I mean, I can't see how we're going to fail here. It's full steam ahead. So stoked to be there and help out where I can. But yeah, for real, I'm just very fortunate to be on this call in general, and really excited for it.
Full steam ahead. Man, Troy, I tell you what, I know we're just going to be always looking to you when we need a pep up, when we need someone to make sense of maybe something absolute ridiculous that's happening. We'll just look at you, and I'm sure we'll be like, yeah, what do we need, man? I love that. That's so good. I tell you what, I'll share what I've been kind of tracking. This is June 20, and is also my birthday. It's World Refugee Day. And you know, when you get quite sentimental about your life, especially as you start getting older, as a kid, it's about what presents and what treats and what things. Like I think I've just been using excuses to buy myself a new pair of running shoes is pretty much the extent of that for my birthday. But for me, I get very reflective, and it's been a really heavy week. I've been so depressed, probably never more depressed than ever. Like I'll say it. I've wanted to quit You Belong. I feel like I'm the worst person for this work because of the constant struggle for fundraising, for being able to get support for this work. And we're like most organizations around the world facing challenges with regards to people's giving, and donations have dropped off. And I don't feel like I'm doing a good enough there. And then I feel like just the weight of the world blowing itself apart and feeling like it doesn't even matter what I've done. Like, is it even making a difference? Like, is it even really helping? Because here we are again, and we could be seeing another 20, 30 million people displaced whilst you're just trying to, it seems, just help a few. And it's been a very heavy week for me personally. And I've been so looking forward to this call to see a group of friends, because each of you are really have a real friendship with, that I know will be like, no, let's do this. I want to be there with you. I want to do this with you, and that means the world to me. So yeah, I mean, I know this is deep down. This is something that must be done. And like I've said, for me, it's not just a run; it's a return. There's unfinished business, and if we can shed a light on this for the world, then it could be a watershed moment. And what's the worst thing can happen, right?
We run back.
Yeah, yeah. Matt, Ihsan.
Yeah, I think why now is why us is because I feel that everyone have something special that they are bringing, and from everything that I have heard now in this call, and it's also meaningful. At least it's meaningful for me personally because I'm an Iraqi, and at the same time I have seen and experienced those who are on the run, and I think that people who have been on the run or are experiencing now this situation, they will feel that they are seen, they are represented in a way, they are connected to everyone else, to the world in a way, in a sort of way, so everyone see the problem, everyone see the struggle. Yes, it will not be the same, but at least this is the amount of hope that people are looking for when they have this situation, and especially now in the time of division around the world and division here, people in the region. So I think this is an opportunity, and a great one, to help the world see what it's be like for conflicts, for families who have to experience this and be on the run to the unknown, not knowing if they will be safe, if they will be not, similar to what Mario was sharing, if they will be fed, or if they will be in a place that they will feel home, or they can be home, can go back home. So I think that's a lot of questions people experience, and I think this is something that we can shed some light on for the people who have experienced this or still experiencing this.
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of what's been said. And one of the things that's kind of come to my mind is, as we've been talking and having calls and discussing the run, is a conversation I had with my daughter a little while ago. She has a tendency to get her thoughts get really lost way in the past or way in the future, and sometimes gets a little scattered. And so I asked her this question a couple of years ago, and I'll ask her all the time, and she'll just be like, it's one of those parenting things. But what's the most important step you could take? Like, what's the most important step you could take? What's the most important step any person can take? And it drove her insane. She couldn't figure out the answer to the riddle, because there's an answer I wanted her to come to. And she was asking her grandparents, asking everyone. And I said, she finally came back to me. She's like, Dad, this is driving me nuts. And I was like, the next one, always the next one. Like, you're way down the road here and you're way in the past here. And I get that way too. And I look at a situation like what's happening in the Middle East, and it's like, oh, we need some perfect step to figure out how to perfectly solve. I don't know that that exists. And if it does, I don't know it. I just know that there's a next step, and then there's the next one. And getting to take those next steps with you guys gives me a sense of peace and a sense of calm and a sense of excitement. So let's keep taking steps, and let's not get so bogged down in the 1,000th step. That'll come, but knowing that we can keep taking those steps together, and that in the end, it won't be a perfect run, like Mario said, because there's no such thing. It's good for me to hear, because I literally can't run anywhere. Like, I'm going to be the worst of everyone when it comes to running. But yeah, let's keep taking those steps, and I'm grateful to take the next one with you guys.
Wow. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Each of you are contributing so much to what this is becoming. And as we take the next step towards what Ihsan said is a place that we can all call home, a place that we can rest as well, right? That we can, there's something about being in a place at home where you can put your feet up. You don't have to be someone. You just can truly be who you are. And I think that is the longing that we are all longing for. That journey we're all on is to a place where we can be and feel and belong and just be who we are. And I thank you for help, being a part of this adventure. I cannot wait to keep drip feeding as for those that might be listening and be like wanting to know more about what this is and the journey and the run. I know I'll be doing probably little individual podcasts with each of you, unpacking different things. But thanks for jumping on tonight. Thanks for being part of our first team crew meeting everybody for the first time. And it feels like, I don't know about you, it feels like we're a bunch of old friends getting together, talking about what we're also, there's such a kindred spirit amongst us. So thanks everyone. We'll call it a night or a morning or an afternoon, since we're on about 5 different time zones right now, and we'll see you at our next catch up. Thanks everyone for joining in.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. What a pleasure.